Today we're going to talk about failure and the biggest myth around failure. Whether it be your sport, your job, your career, whatever it is in your life, I think most of us look at failure as only a negative thing, and we also fall into the trap where we think that a failure that has happened in real life is now translating into us being a failure as a person. And we blend those two things together. And it's my belief that those are two separate things. Right? So your failures are a prerequisite to your success. And so many of us forget that. And so many of us forget that when we look up to the greats in any field, they are usually the ones that have experienced failure the most. And so in turn, what does that mean? To me, that means that they've got more experience than anybody else. They've seen more things than anybody else. They've gotten more feedback than anyone else. They've gotten more education. They've gotten more wisdom, knowledge. Their ability to cope with tough times and failure is now increased because it's been trained, it's been tested. And so there's so many good things that come from failure. Right? But the problem we run into sometimes is we experience a failure, we get emotional about it, we have one of two lanes to go into. We either pick the path of I am a failure because of my one experience being a failure, or the second lane that we should pick if we want to get to where we want to go is that the failure I've experienced is feedback, so that now I can shift into this direction. Right? It's giving you what not the answer is, so now you know what the answer should be. Now you know the actions that you need to take. It's crucial. And a lot of it's perspective. We don't look at it with the right perspective. We have the perspective that it's all bad. And think of it this way. If you were in school and your teacher handed you a pretest, and let's say there's 20 questions. If you took that pretest and got half of the questions wrong and you got a 10 out of 20, are you going to be mad about it? No, because it's a pretest. So you get the answers back now, and you understand the ones you got right were something that you can repeat and do again, and the ones that you got wrong, you figured out what the right answer was, and so now you're educated on understanding what all 20 questions are. And so now if you took that same test again, you should be able to get a 20 out of 20. Because you knew half of it, and then you figured the other half out by getting the results back. And so if you can apply that simple philosophy to your life, into everything you do in your life, you're getting smarter and more educated, and you're becoming better at the end of the day every time failure happens. And so experience life that way sometimes. Treat your failures in life like a pretest. Oh, you tried something out, it didn't work. Now you got the answers back. Now go do it again. And that's my next point. We are afraid to do it again. We fail once or twice or maybe 3 times or more, and we're afraid to do it again. But what we don't realize in the heat of the moment is this. You are now the best you have ever been after receiving that feedback. You are now battle tested and primed up. You are now more ready than you were before. Zoom out for a second and think about that. If you're more ready than you were before, why wouldn't you go and do it again? You have a better chance. Your confidence should be higher because now you know more of the answers. And that's another myth, in my opinion. Our confidence is lower after failure. Think about this. Our confidence is lower after failure because our mind is still locked on the fact that we failed When really what we should be doing is getting our mind off of the failure, onto the feedback, and then onto the next thing, onto the next rep. So again, now you're more ready, right? And in turn, you should, if you really think about that, you should be more confident than after failures. You should not be less confident after failures. If you can let your mind work that way, as opposed to the way of being stuck into what people think about me because I failed, what my coach thinks about me because I failed, or my teacher, or my peers, classmates, teammates, family members, friends, parents. There's so many things that creep into our mind that cloud and fog up our processing system, and then in turn, in my opinion, screws everything up. And that's when now you start thinking the thoughts of now I'm screwed, because you're not thinking about it the right way. So that perspective is huge. And so I want everyone to think about this. Spend time on this. Take this information and apply it to one example in your life right now today. Apply it to one example. And so I'll give you a quick example from my personal experience of how this can relate. Just a quick one. I invest in rental properties. I'm going through a rental property right now where it's a major renovation. And there's a lot of things that came up that I was not aware of beforehand, before they started tearing up drywall and tearing stuff down and demolition and all this stuff. And so last September, I was thinking this would be a 4 or 5 month project. I'd be in and out of there and be done with it. Get it ready to rent. And I'm here today, it's a year later, and we still haven't finished it yet. There's been so many failures, you can say, so many bumps along the road that I had to go through with the permitting process multiple times, finding people to get drawings done for me, finding the right contractors, going through bad contractors of people that were not good, several of them. And so learning the rules of that local municipality, and what I had to go through that I really did not understand or know I had to go through beforehand. And so, did it go according to my plan? No. But it's according to God's plan, and He's got a plan that's greater than mine. I got to be able to believe that. And so, I heard from a video very recently from Ed Milet. He had a guest on, I think it was John Gordon. He said it's God's curriculum. It's God's curriculum that He has for us. And so we just got to follow the curriculum. And, he put it in a way where it's that these things are supposed to happen. And we don't realize beforehand the things that we think are supposed to happen or that we had planned in our head very rarely come into fruition fully, from A to Z. Our plans usually don't end up exactly the way we plan them. And so, again, back to the story. For me, I went through a lot of things I wish I didn't have to go through, but now on the other side, which I'm getting close to the other end of it, I'm way more educated with a lot more things in different fields and different areas, about different contractors, about the rules, about the permitting process, about properties in general, about the mechanics of a house, about finances, and how to be able to budget things accordingly. And so I'm more prepared for the next one than I would have been if it was a smooth, easy success. And so I'll say that again. I'm more prepared and educated, and I'm a wiser investor now going forward for the next one than I would have been if everything went smooth, easy, and was a success. So how can that affect me long term? Think about for you with that, whatever story you're applying it to for yourself. How can this affect you long term? Right? I believe that long term you're going to be way better off. You're going to be able to reach way further destinations and reach way higher goals long term, understanding this. right? I mean, it sounds silly, it sounds backwards, but yes, you will be better off in the long term by facing more failures early on. Because another thing is this: you're going to come to a point, whether it's in the beginning, middle, or closer to the end, where you do hit a wall. You do hit a wall and a stoppage of failures. And so I just believe that if that does happen early on, it actually can benefit you more because, you figure out, if I use it for my real estate strategy, you figure out some things early on of what doesn't work and now what does work. Now you have all of this open green grass ahead of you, if you will. You have all of this opportunity and time for the rest of your future to now execute the proper plans. And so, what is your myth right now about failure? What are the things that you believe or don't believe about your failures and how it relates to your success, your end goals, where you want to be next year, in 5 years, and at the end of your lifetime, with your career, with who you are as a person, with what you believe in, with your relationships with people around you, family and friends, with your finances, etc. I'm very big on the 5 F's. If you've heard of the 5 F's before, it's faith, family, fitness, finances, and friends. And I believe if you have those 5 things as your only priorities in life, to be honest with you, then you can have a more fulfilling life. And I think those 5 things cover pretty much all of it. And you're not, from what I believe, you're not going to have a very enjoyable life having just 1 or 2 or even 3 of those. I think when you can really sit down and think about how you can improve in each of the 5, I think that's where the blending and the combination of all of them in your life, to me, has been the most, that's when I'm the most fulfilled. And there's plenty of times, even still today, where I don't feel fulfilled because I know I'm still lacking in one or several of those areas. I also believe there's 2 tiers with that. I believe there's tier 1 of the most important ones and tier 2. In my opinion and belief, I live life that tier 1 is faith and family. Those are the 2 most important things. And then my tier 2 is the 3 other, which would be friends, fitness, finances. And so when I say fitness, I'm just talking about living a healthy lifestyle. Like for me, it's just exercising regularly. It's not having to be a gym rat. You don't have to be crazy. You don't have to be crazy in the gym 2 hours every single day. You don't have to be 2% body fat. You don't have to be looking like a model. It's just about the lifestyle and the healthiness it also can bring into the rest of your life, even mentally, in my opinion. And so, do you live a healthy lifestyle with your fitness? Friends, do you have good relationships with a small core group of friends is what I believe is the most important. And then finances, I relate it to work. And so, are you progressing in your career? And if you are, then hopefully your finances will also progress with that as well. Money doesn't make you happy, but money does make life easier. And I think money gets a lot of bad connotations sometimes when we worship money. I think when you fall into that trap, then you're not living the life that you should be. I think money is, it's a tricky one. It's definitely something that you should not be putting as number 1 in your life. I'll just say that. But I don't think it's all bad. I think that it makes life easier, and I think it grants you, freedom in your life. And at the end of the day, obviously, it is important. And so the saying that money isn't important is probably inaccurate, but does money make you happy? Absolutely not. Is money the root of all evil? I don't believe so, but I believe if you treat money as the end-all goal, then it can lead to roots of all evil. And so you have to be very, very careful with that one and making sure that, again, that's very important that I want to say that money is in tier 2, not tier 1. The finances are absolutely in tier 2, and it's, for whatever order you want to put that in, that's up to every person. I mean, to be honest, on a scale of 1 to 5, of those 5 Fs, for me, I still would probably put it at 5. But I think if you can become the person you want to become through your work ethic, the other F's, through faith, fitness, friends, family, and doing the things that you are capable of on a daily basis, controlling the controllables, which is putting the work in and just doing your job on a daily basis. I know I'm rambling, but that is all connected in one way or another, because I believe, again, your ability to handle failure will help you out in all 5 of those 5 F's that I talked about.